Hey guys, and welcome to this hobby tips video on how to paint pale blue-green skin on a Nurgle Plaguebearer. Okay, I think I got all that correct. Alright, so yeah, we're going to be going through and just focusing in on painting that kind of pale blue-green flesh like you've seen a few times on the channel. I'll put my revised thoughts on the Nurgle Battletone up in the right hand corner here, so if you want to see a full process of that on Sloppity Bilepiper, you can take a look at that, where I go a more full version. In this one, we're going to be looking at just the flesh tones and doing a slightly pared down version of that flesh. So we'll be using a color sketch idea, so an underpainting with a lot of color in it, and then doing an overpainting with the flesh on top. So with the goal in mind that you might be doing, a few of these at a time, or for an army and so on. That's kind of the idea, but it is a bit more of a full process. So it's not a super speedy, efficient process. It's more about getting into the painting flesh, in particular sort of rotten colors and Nurgle type colors, because it's a really fun process to do. So this one should be fun, and this will be in a paired video with another one where we'll choose a different undertone, a different type of color, and build up the flesh that one. But for this one, we're doing the sort of blue-green style, so we'll be using a dark blue, a purple and a turquoise as our undertones, and then we've got my favorite color, corpse pale, and some other colors there to influence that, possibly some light greens and blues and yellows for some of the highlights, but we'll get into it as we go. We'll start from the beginning and work our way through, so it should be a lot of fun. Grab yourself a Plaguebearer and let's get started, eh? Okay, so to begin with, we're going to build up this color sketch using the blue, and basically going from dark to light. So we're going to start with that blue, and you're going to see me just painting it on very loosely, pretty much like an undercoat, basically painting the whole thing. And this is just going to push us away from the black and give us something color to start from, and that's really going to set us up for what comes next. So then once we've got that down, then we're going to come in with the purple, and the purple is going to be put more on the underside of things, under the belly, all the various areas as sort of like an undershade or an under highlight. And then as we move through that, we're going to come back in and then re-add the blue on top, which you're going to see me do, just to help those two colors blend together and give a nice transition between the purples and the blue. But you don't have to be super perfect about this. As you can see from this whole color sketch stage, it kind of looks like very rough, right? And you've got to allow that to happen. Don't be scared of that. We're going to come in and make this into a beautiful thing at the end, but the initial stages are quite loose and quite painterly. And then what we're going to do is we're going to come in with that turquoise and begin adding in some lighter tones. So this is mostly across the top of everything, top of the head, top of the shoulders, that sort of thing. You'll see me just dabbing around and adding that in just where I think it looks nice, just to change the color. So now we've got turquoise, blue and purple all coming together. And then once that's all done, now we come in with some of that Kraken green, and that's for like very, very raised areas on the model. So where the bone is coming through, maybe on the hands, the horns, the spine, things like that. And so you're just adding those into areas that are going to be closer to the skin, like the bone closer to the skin. And then also then we come in with the toxic mist, that light blue color, and do the same thing, and then add various areas we want to see a little bit of brightness or a little bit of lighter tone, and that can be the same areas or different. It's really up to you, but you're just moving around and adding those things in, mostly towards the top of the figure and less on the bottom of the figure, so it's sort of brighter on top and darker on the bottom. And then finally we're adding a little bit of yellow, and we're just adding that into the ends of the horns, again where the bone is coming through the skin, and this gives us a sort of almost like a heat map of what's going on under the skin for that Plaguebearer, and it's going to really set us up when we come in with the overpainting. So now we're into the actual skin color. And so to begin with, you can see that gradient I've set up going through a blue mixed with corpse pale, a little bit of gray in there as well from a dark tone in about 4 different steps up to then a 5th spot highlight color. And so you're going to see me start to put on that base tone, so that darker blue gray, and just basically cover the whole skin. And you're going to notice that because it's put on in thin layers, the underpainting is going to start to show through, and that's what we want to see basically. And so once once you've got that, you're going to move through these layers. So the next one then is that sort of slightly lighter blue-grey before we start getting into the corpse pale color proper, and that's going to start to modulate that surface. And so you're looking for the main areas, so the head, the front of the belly, the tops of the arms and the legs, but we're allowing it to fade away into darkness, and we're not going to paint every single surface as you're seeing me do this. It's going to be fading in and out of highlights and dark tones. And then once we've got that, we're going to move into that off corpse pale color, which is just a little bit tinted from the blue, and we're going to start to use that as I guess our first highlight. And so just focusing on all of those main areas across the face, the front of the belly, the pectorals, the tops of the hands and the arms and the legs, and again allowing the rest to fade away into darkness. And that's really the goal here, is to speed up the process. And then we're coming into straight corpse pale, and you're going to see me just adding in all the highlights now, and that corpse pale has a bit of yellow in it, so it's now starting to change the color. And again, just sticking to those main top areas where the light is going to hit and letting everything else fade away. And then once we've got that, just to really bump this whole process and make the skin really stand out, we add a little bit of white into that corpse pale, and then we're going to just add in some little spots of light on the boils and the little edges of the skin folds and so on. Again, just around the main focal areas, the belly, the chest, the head, the tops of the hands, the knuckles, things like that. Anyway, we want to see that little bit of extra pop, and then you should end up with something really cool. And there we go, some nice blue-green, pale, rotten flesh tones on a Plaguebearer, all done. So let's take a look. So yeah, like super fun process, you know. Obviously this has all of my little color glazing and drips and, you know, Nurgle's fun bits all over it. If you'd like to see any of those stages, the final touches for this type of skin technique, then just take a look at any of the videos I've got on my channel, the Black King one, or the Battle Tome reviews, where I go through those final stages of adding the drips and the little color changes with the color glazes, the shades. But you know, you can see the build up of flesh, the way I've done it, that nice fade of color, so you're not having to do everywhere and highlight every surface. It's more of a general kind of build up of tones, and that way you can do more of these across like many models, you know, like your unit or whatever, 10-20 models at a time, that sort of thing. So it shouldn't take as long. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this. I'll leave a nice image of him at the end so you can take a closer look, and all of that in the paint list. But yeah, hope you've enjoyed this. Please hit that like button, subscribe button, it really helps me out, and I guess I'll catch you on the next one.